Absolutely, he quit. There's no doubt about it. He absolutely quit. I'm not going to compare it to Kell Brook because, again,
I do want to quickly move over before you talk to the rest of the media. A fight that happened last weekend, Oleksandr Usyk, Daniel Dubois, a bit of controversy, a lot of people calling it a low blow or not, but I do want to talk about things after the fight. People are saying, Tony Bellew especially are saying Daniel Dubois quit just like Kell Brook did. Do you believe that there's that sense that, not that he quit, because I can't say a fighter quit, but that, you know, when the tough gets tough, they, you know, maybe not fancy it?
Absolutely, he quit. There's no doubt about it. He absolutely quit. I'm not going to compare it to Kell Brook because, again, when it comes to an orbit bone injury, I can almost, I wouldn't say allow it, but I can almost understand it. You know what I'm saying? I've had the orbit bone injury too, and I see a lot of guys are not able to continue with that. It's one of the most painful things to go through in professional boxing is a fight with an broken orbit bone. So, I mean, you can almost forgive Dubois with the orbit bone because a lot of guys can't really continue, and then those are guys that are really bona fide tough guys, and they don't really quit ever again. They don't really have that reputation, and they have tough guy reputations. So the orbit bone is almost like it's almost allowable, right? Because there's a lot of things involved. It's almost allowable. But so even with Kell Brook, I wouldn't say like it's quitting because with Kell Brook himself, he had suffered an orbit bone injury with Golovkin. Then 9 months later, he suffers the other orbit bone with Errol Spence. It's very, very difficult to fight with that injury. But this was none of the above. This was just Dubois feeling the heat as it got too hot in the kitchen for him as the fight went on, and honestly looking for a way out of the fight. And I mean, he chose to get hit with it. I mean, he didn't choose to get hit with it, but he chose the shovel jab that Usyk landed to be the punch to end the night. I mean, he most likely could have beat that count, but mentally he was already fading. You could see in his body language he didn't want to be in there. And ultimately, I think this hurts his team's ability to get that rematch because his team, I think, has a legitimate gripe with the punch because I think the punch was a good punch. I think it was a body shot, And I know it's going both ways, but I think the punch was a body shot. So by quitting, you hurt your own team's ability to fight and fight for you and fight to get this rematch, because now people are saying, all right, it was a fluke shot, and look what happened when you actually had to deal with him. You weren't even on his level, and you didn't even want to deal with him, you wanted to quit. And so that makes it more difficult, that choice, because that's a choice when you do that. That's a choice. I can understand it's very difficult, in boxing, in fighting in general, the heat raises, and you find yourself having to make a choice, and a lot of fighters, will go choose to fight on and through the discomfort, and some fighters won't. I think, I think Dubois quit. But my biggest issue for the whole night was the ring being wet. Because I don't even know if the ring is not wet, you can leverage your footwork much better. I don't even know if Usyk gets hit with that body shot or that low blow, whatever you want to call it. Because he's switching over to the right as he gets hit with it. You're pushing off your back foot when you do that. The ring is slick. You have no push off. I've been in slick rings. You have no push off. Anytime you try to push off, your foot goes like this. So there's no push off, and so you're turning and twisting and shifting in a much slower fashion or in an impeded fashion. So, I mean, I don't think people understand that was probably the biggest problem of the fight. And I notice people's comments when I try that they don't really understand it, because I've said this in a couple of other interviews. And I've noticed the comments, people are totally flabbergasted and lost. I mean, this is literally one of those things where you had to have done it to understand what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm sorry to break it to you, but some things you're just not going to understand unless you box in a wet ring, and then you're going to understand. But first of all, to box in a wet ring, you first have to know how to box so that you can see the difference that in a wet ring, everything changes, So that was my biggest issue, was the wet ring, that they didn't protect the ring in a proper way like they're supposed to. That was very, very amateurish of the whole promotion and the whole everything being put together.
A lot of people are saying Usyk's a bit weak around the body. He got hurt against Anthony Joshua, again against Dubois. Do you feel like there is weakness there?
I mean, yeah, he might be a little susceptible to the body. He got dropped with a body shot by Artur Beterbiev in the amateurs as well. If anybody's seen that fight on YouTube where Usyk wins on point, but he goes down from a body shot, it's possible. But you still got to be in there. You got to be in there to win it. You know what I mean? You got. And again, I don't know that body shot even lands if the ring is not slick. I don't know that Usyk's footwork is not limited enough to where it's unlimited enough to where Dubois is probably not going to find that range on that body shot.
Do you want to talk about, obviously everyone wants to see Usyk fight Fury. Fury's at the moment going to fight Francis Ngannou. What's your thoughts on that? A lot of people are saying, listen, we need this undisputed clash. It's not happening. What do you make of Tyson fighting Francis Ngannou?
Yeah, I think it'd be great to have an undisputed clash. I think it's the fight everybody wants. I can understand Fury going for Ngannou. It brings more money and it's an easier fight. So it just makes dollars and cents. And if we say it in that way, it may not be fair to the sport, but unfortunately, yeah, it makes dollars and cents. And why does it make dollars and cents? Well, because you got the dumbest sporting fans in all of sports, in the MMA community. And they get behind anything. If an MMA fighter is in a cards tournament, if an MMA fighter is in a chess tournament, they will buy the pay-per-views. This is the dumbest fan base in all of sports. They spend their money on the dumbest stuff as long as their fighters have to do with it. So because we have such a dumb fan base, we are able to have these MMA guys come over to boxing and become punching bags for the boxers. And we've got another situation like that. I mean, I'm happy for Ngannou because he's with that pig Dana White who was robbing all his money. So at least he's able to make some money that he deserves. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, he's going to probably just be a punching bag for Fury, just like McGregor was a punching bag for Mayweather and then so on and so forth.
Final two from myself, Anthony Joshua.
And yes, McGregor was my punching bag too. That's why you still haven't seen shit from that video even 6 years later.
Final two from myself, Anthony Joshua he's with Derek James now, seems to have implemented a different style. A lot of people are saying he still lacks confidence. When he's in range, he's not throwing his hands. What do you believe that is? Do you believe that it's a new style, or do you believe it's confidence, or both?
I don't think it's a new style because Errol Spence is very, very aggressive his whole career. So, if anything, Derek James specializes in making you aggressive, right? I mean, Errol Spence's career shows that. So I think it's more of a mental block for Anthony Joshua. I think, sometimes when you've been knocked out or you take some L's, there is a mental block in that way. I think the best Anthony Joshua is the one from years back where he was closing the gap very fast. He was explosive. He was confident in his ability to close the gap, and then he was confident in the power he was throwing to hurt you. I don't know if that Joshua even exists anymore, and I don't know that psychology can be changed by a trainer. A trainer will teach you the technical stuff, will work with you with the technical stuff. Joshua was already a decent technical fighter. I mean, he won an Olympic gold medal. So I don't know that the technical stuff was what Joshua actually needed to work on. I think Joshua's block is a mental block, and I don't know that that's going to be fixed. I mean, I haven't seen it improved yet. I've seen him very tentative so far.
Final one. We've seen a lot of drug tests and a lot of adverse findings in drug tests. Alicia Baumgartner, Dillian White, Robert Helenius. What do you make of this? What needs to be done? I know you're very vocal when you were fighting that something needs to be done, and you named certain fighters which I obviously don't want to go down. But what needs to be done? Eddie Hearn's trying to make a clean program for his stable. Everyone on his stable should be tested. Do you believe that's the way?
No, and I think Eddie's just talking shit. First of all, I think the way he handled the Conor Benn situation shows that. But I don't think anybody really wants to fix it. If they wanted to fix it, the money exists to fix it. This is just us talking, fans being naive enough to think most of the fighters are clean, and every once in a while they catch a dirty one. In reality, when you're on the inside like us, almost everyone is dirty. So, I mean, nobody wants to fix it. They let this happen because it creates more money. Guys break records. Guys can do more amazing things when they're on PEDs. So nobody actually wants to catch them. It's almost like the powers that be are disappointed when somebody gets caught because they know everybody's on it, and then they just want to, they want to give the impression that they're fighting drugs in the sport by giving the most minimal of drug testing, and that's it. I mean, even something like VADA, where Margaret Goodman, I think, was genuine in trying to fight this. She doesn't have the money, the funding to test that consistently so many top fighters, right? So she would need to be funded by the sanctioning body. She would need to be funded by the promoters. Nobody does that. Nobody cares. Nobody puts that money forward because nobody wants their guy to not be able to do what they do, So it's a stupid conversation we're having because we're wasting our time having it.
Paulie Malignaggi, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for giving me a good amount of your time, and I'll see you this fight week, and I'll see you soon, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.